When we think about the White City, which is what I began this lecture with, and think of it as a symbol, that Columbian World Exposition from 1893. I think the functioning it does as a symbol is a reminder of how race and violence and the rationalizations that play a role in this imperialistic ideal, how they're all bound up with the United States. Not just abroad, but here at home. As I said earlier, at the center of the White City, there existed this symbol, this monument to technology and to progress, and it was white. It was plastered white. There you found the pavilions for technology, the pavilions for art, the pavilions for anything that modern, contemporary, I should say, American culture valued, largely that sort of middle-class, progressive sensibility. Women had their own pavilion there, but some of the leaders of the women's suffrage movement couldn't speak, couldn't be officers. People like Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton. Instead, what was represented was the ideal of modern womanhood: purity, domesticity, life in the home. Spreading out from this central sort of Western aesthetic with Greek architecture and all, spreading out from this central core, the court of honor, in sort of concentric rings, you have the ethnographic exotics. And what I mean by that, you have not so much the arts as you have trades. Not so much technology and progress and all things new, but the older skills of society when it comes to production. You have as well people from all around the world, from Africa, from Asia, living in rebuilt villages. And they stay in these rebuilt villages, and visitors to the fair can then go look at them, almost as if these people were exhibits in a zoo. And they can look upon them as different and other in their native dress or state of undress by 19th century middle-class standards. And like anthropologists or ethnographers, these visitors to the fair can study the other in their natural habitat. Now, you may say, well, you're pulling too much from this. It's sort of a form of cultural history, and you're pulling a little too much out of this symbolically. Maybe so, I grant. It's a red text, but consider for a moment where African Americans' place in the court of honor was. It wasn't. Native Americans, should they be there at all, were part of Wild West shows. They were part of the exhibits of ethnographic interest. But they were in no way associated with progress and expansion and industry, science. No less a figure than Frederick Douglass could not get into the fair. And forget for a moment that just outside the Chicago World's Fair, just outside the Columbian Exposition in 1893, fenced off so they weren't easily visible to visitors, were the workers who had built it, who had built the Court of Honor, the workers of Chicago, and not far away, the Pullman plants in Pullman, where the strike that I talked to you about earlier was getting ready to begin, and the effects of the Depression of 1893 were being felt. If we think about this Columbian Exposition as symbol, then I guess what it tells us is that the age of American imperialism really beginning in the 1890s is bound up, is part and parcel of what the United States was, not just abroad, but here at home in the 1890s and into the early 20th century. I think it's something worth considering.